Okay. All right. I think I'm recording. Might be. Okay. So, here we go. I think this is going to be a recording of a macro that I'm working on here. So, these are tests. I'm going to record a new track. Hello there, this is a test of audiobook narration and macro application. Part 10 or 11. Okay. So what we have here is an audiobook sample of me talking, right? There's some tools that you could use to analyze what's happening here. If I go to Analyze and look at Contrast, get the measure of the selection foreground, that gives me my RMS. And my target is between negative 23 and negative 18. Right now it's too low, so I need to raise it. No problem. I can also analyze the wave stats, which gives me, it'll only measure up to 30 seconds, I think. You can probably change that in somewhere, but I don't know how to do it. A little too high tech for me. Okay, so edit the wave stats. So my peak level is negative 10.5. Peak negative is negative 11. So this is giving me roughly a negative 30 RMS. So I need to, my target, I don't have to reach negative 3, but I just can't go over negative 3 as a peak. Okay. So my effects, how I create a macro or a chain, the first thing I need to do, the first one that I like to do was to add these effects. I can add classic filters. My low pass filter at 16,000 hertz. All the super high stuff that the human ear can hear but the human voice doesn't say is rolled off. So I click it. The next effect is another classic filter. I can use high pass, and in that case, I want to go to about 80. You might want to tinker with these a little bit, but 80 and 16,000 seem to work pretty well as a standard. I think I put this one next. It's called RMS Normalize. You have to go find that one as a download somewhere. I'm not sure where. But I forget. You can probably find it on the Audacity wiki page. RMS Normalize, my target is somewhere between negative 18 and negative 23. So negative 23 being the lower end, and negative 18 being the loudest end. So I pick around 19 because it's going to shrink a little. Okay, so it brought everything up. So my RMS, analyze, contrast, here is negative 19. It did its job. However, when I analyze the wave stats, now my peak is 2.1. So not only am I 2.1 over 0, but I'm also an extra 3 decibels over my negative 3 target. So I need to do a little compression. My next effect is a compressor. I think I had this set at about a pretty close level that worked for me in my recording. You might have to tinker with this level. Negative 10 seems to work after the RMS normalize. Too low, and you won't compress very much. I undo that. Compressor. Too high. I compress everything. We don't want that either. So I seem to find a happy space right around negative 10. Again, the more you Google and YouTube, you're going to find different different things that are going to help you get better. And also in your space, you'll find different things. I don't use this one, make up the gain, because, well, I don't know. I guess I probably could do that one. I haven't tried that one yet. I don't normally do that one, but I might start. You might want to tinker with that too. So, after I compress, where did I go? All right, I'm going to take that off and compress it. Okay. Now I'm looking at analyze the contrast. Now I'm getting a little bit softer. So my RMS was negative 19. It's now negative 20, almost negative 21. I can still look at my wave stats and see those peaks came down. Now I'm under 0. That's pretty good. So I'm at negative 0.8. I still need to get down below negative 3. So I apply another effect. The brick wall limiter, I really like it. It tames the peaks a little more gently. It's not a hard limiter. It's more of a soft limiter. But anyway, I like to use it. I think you might have to download that one too. Brickwall.ny. It's a Nyquist plugin. And I have it set here to negative 3.2. Just a little under my negative 3 limit there. Click. See the peaks kind of shrunk a little and they got flattened out. Now I can analyze my RMS right in the zone. My peaks, I really don't have to analyze the wave stats now because I know what happened. Negative 3.2 did its job. Now measuring the noise floor looks like this. I want to take that room tone space. It should still be me talking. Or not talking, just kind of being in the room there. Okay. When I analyze that, I check my wave stats. And it is actually pretty low, negative 60 point. That actually is going to work for my negative 63 target. However, I'm going to run one little bit of noise reduction. Boop. Get the noise profile will help you, the computer, figure out what it is that it's removing. There. Then I can apply it. Noise reduction. And I've already done the profile. I want to apply it. These you can tinker with. Most folks like to start at 6, 6, and 6. There's a joke about the satanic nature of that. 6, 6, and 6. They do work fine. Doing smaller passes of a lighter touch is actually better than one big chunk, like really reducing it too high. So if you want to start here, just hit it. Now, when I take a look at this same bit of audio, roughly, I didn't measure it exactly, but I can see that my wave stats is down, way down, really meets that target. Negative 63 is a target. I'm way below it, which is good. If I analyze the whole darn thing for RMS, I'm still right there. So this should be a feasible file. Now that's before editing and all of that. I didn't use any declickers. I didn't use any chunks taken out like this part here.
Hello.
Right, that's a breath.
Hello.
I might want to take that out.
Hello there. This is a test of audiobook narration and macro application. Part 10 or 11.
So I can take this little click out too.
10.
Or I can run the declicker on it, which is pretty cool. I'll show you that. Declicker. There's a lot of text stuff here that I don't remember how to deal with. I know I set it to a pretty good level before, and I'm just going to hit it, preview. Okay, so I ran it. Just declicked it.
10 or
See, can't even hear it.
10 or 11.
Again, you don't want to run that on a whole file. It'll take forever. But if you have a stubborn...
And macro application. Audiobook narration.
Let's see.
Hello there, this is a test of audiobook narration and macro application. Part.
Let's see.
And macro application. And macro application.
Let's see if I can declick that.
And macro application.
Declick the whole thing. That's a miracle declicker, but it is slow. Now, one more time. Analyze. I go right inside my target area. I'm ready to go. And my peak should be analyze, wave stats. Should be around negative 3.2, which it is. So theoretically, after you edit a file and apply this macro, you can make it work so that your entire file meets the specifications. I would do editing first and stuff, take out these weird breaths, weird clicks, stuff like that. My spacing, my timing's not right. This at the end is me hitting the keyboard. Of course, I don't need that. So this should be good to go. Now, how you create a macro out of that. Again, you're going to tinker with these tools here, but if you wanted to, let's see. Let's go here. Tools, macros. I used to be able to export a macro or a chain and send it to you. I don't think I can do that. It's not really active right now. It looked like I was looking on the download page. So what you can do is create one, right? New. I created this one already, but if you wanted to do it, there's a couple of things that I tried to mess around with here. If you wanted to do it, you would say new. Enter name of new macro, and you'd say audio narration stuff, ACX, however you want to do it, right? Then, here's how you start. This is the new one. You want to change the name. I don't need to do that. I can do insert. The first thing I did was classic filters. Then I edit the parameters. This one's fine. It's my high pass filter at 80, so I say okay. And I hit okay. The next thing I can insert is my classic filters, but the other end of the spectrum here. So I change it to low pass. Hit okay. Boop. The next thing I did, I think, was RMS normalize. Now, this is your list of effects in Audacity. Mine, when I downloaded the new version, which is pretty awesome, it just happened to be all there, which is great. Sometimes the effects are not there. You have to open them or re-import them as a plugin. But I think mine were all here. Okay, so here's RMS normalize. My parameters. Negative 19 was where I figured it out. It had been negative 21. But what happened was I would end up reducing. It would end up falling below the 23 mark. So I raised it up a little. So when I did a little noise reduction or a little compression, my RMS stayed in the range there. So that's my choice. Boom. Then I added my compressor. Where'd that go? Okay. Edit the parameters. So these are the things that I found worked for me. The higher the ratio, the more the compression, right? The lower, I forget where I found this number, but it seems to work. This changes things a little bit. I'm not sure how. It's pretty high tech. The science behind it, I'm not sure of. And so the threshold, again, you're going to want to tinker with that. But I found at recording in this project, -10 worked for me. So you can also change this, make up the gain, so that brings everything back to a higher level. Sometimes that's not usually on, but I don't know. You might want to mess with that too. Anyhow, there's that. Okay. And the last thing I did, if I remember correctly, no, I did two more things. I did noise reduction. Or no, I'm sorry. Brick wall limiting. There's that. The parameters, don't forget, are a little under the -3.0 limit. Okay. And then the very last thing I did was the noise reduction. One thing to remember about noise reduction is you got to get the noise profile first. It won't remember your noise profile from project to project, but within this project it will. So when you get the noise profile, you should get it first, right, before it applies. So these are my settings, which I want to keep here, or whatever, you can tinker with them. But just remember that before you apply the macro, you want to get a sample of that noise reduction, right? So I'll show you one more thing. Here's okay. Now, let's take, let's take this. Let me see. Let's mute all the tracks. I forgot. Okay. All right. I want to record one more thing. Okay. So let's try to apply this macro and see how it works. Don't forget to get your noise reduction before you do it. The end. Okay. Now.
Okay. So let's try to apply this macro and...
So here is the noise profile that I want. It's just the microphone recording my room tone. Noise reduction. Get profile. Boom. Now, that profile is saved. You might want to get it, I don't know. I think I did another macro or a chain before, where I added everything, and then the chain worked. And then the last thing I did was get my new noise profile and then applied it. So you might want to do that before you do this. So let's see if this works anyway. I'm going to go to Tools, Apply Macro. This gives me the choices, or they're right here. This is the one we just created, right? Boom. So it does everything for you. The longer the file, of course, the longer it will take. Now let's listen.
Okay. So let's try to apply this macro and
peak
see how
here.
it works. Don't forget to get your noise reduction before you do it. The end.
So it didn't clip. It's at -3.2. I'm going to analyze. My RMS is just right. Analyze my wave stats. -3.2. So this little piece should be ACX ready. There's another plugin that I don't have yet and I want to get. It's the ACX check. And so it's a double check of what's going to be, whether it meets everything or not. So you might want to get that, tinker around, ask some more questions, hang out in the Facebook group for Audacity VoiceOver, and see if it'll work. So anyway, I think that's it for now. So we showed you how how to create a macro and how to, you could make more than one. You can choose it, right? You might want to do this one. Has a noise reduction at the end. I might want to take that out, actually. I can edit this, right? So I can take this one out. I want to delete that, right? I'm going to take my compressor. I can edit the parameters and change that here. And then when I apply something new, let's try that. Hey, this is yet another test. One more test. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Now, let's check this out. Tools. Apply macro. This is my one that I just edited. And it did it for me. Analyze. Should be right under 3.2. Yep. I can check out my RMS. Perfect.
Hey, this is yet another test. One more test. Testing. 1, 2, 3.
Now I can take my, it's like noise there. Hold on. Yep, that's noise, all right. Let me find out what that is. Maybe that's because I changed my compression settings. I'll find out. Negative 51. Yes, that's a little too high. Now I can add the noise reduction. Get the profile. Let me just apply it here for a second. And I want to see if that helped any. Okay, so I'm getting closer, but I might have to change my compressor setting back to the way it was so it didn't make up the gain. Anyway, you kind of get the point.